Hi, Thrifty Tim here with my March Mystery Mat. This uh, up or wrap up. I did. I know I had shown eight books for my TBR for during March, but I only got five done. Well, I'm saying five because last book on it, I at the at midnight of April 1st, I was only like 150, or no, not even 150. It was 50 pages away from being done with the book, so I figured I could count that as being read in March. But I'll start off with the first book I've read, and that is this. It's Destination Unknown by Agatha Christie. It was one that I was one I picked for the 50s, and it was formerly released as So Many Steps in Death. And what this is about is Thomas Betterton, British scientist, disappears while he was at a conference in Paris. And his wife of 6 months, she goes and or she sees somebody that an agency in London that like they're where she's just seeing if they found anything more on them, or they're asking her about if she's heard anything, and she said no, and she they had only been married for 6 months when she comes before she comes in there, and she said that she says that she'd like to go on a vacation to Morocco, but her plane crashes just before landing in Morocco. But before that, her plane had to land in Paris for a while because of dense fog, and so the people that were on the same plane as her had to go on different flights and stuff. Uh, well, anyway, and like I said, the plane she was on crashed just before it got to just before landing. She was still alive. She was in the hospital, but she wasn't in too good of condition. Well, anyway, the agent that she was talking to shows up, but it's there. But it's well, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's there's a lady named Hillary Craven who's has red hair like Thomas Betterton's wife and the same height. Well, anyway, uh, Hillary Craven was going to commit suicide, but the agent that Thomas Betterton's wife had seen was the same guy, and he talked Hillary into posing as Hillary to pose as uh, uh, Thomas's wife in order to try to find him, because he figured that his wife was going to be meeting with somebody there to take take her to him, and so she decides to do it, and they have some uh, in, interesting adventures along the way, like going through like different modes of transportation, and it was a longer journey. A lot of it was like in desert and stuff, and then they ended up on a mountain and stuff. And but it's more of like a spy mystery, but it was a good. It was I really liked this one. Uh, okay, the second one was the one from the 60s, which is The Canceled Check by Lawrence Block. This is Evan Tanner mystery, as it shows on the book down at the bottom here. And Evan Tanner gets a call and meets with an official secret intelligence organization. His mission is to go to Prague and rescue a Nazi criminal from a prison before the Soviets can have a trial and execute him by hanging. And this story just follows his adventures and misadventures and the characters he meets along the way. In this one, there's there's a lot of sex that happens in this one, and stuff. There's a lot of hilarious incidents in here, and there's various characters in there, interesting characters that he comes across in there, and then but the hard parts are getting in and out of Czechoslovakia, because this was during they were under Soviet rule pretty much. This like they said, this is from the 60s, and so it was an interesting book, but it wasn't. It was okay anyway. And then the third book, the one for the 70s, was Smokescreen by Dick Francis. Edward Edward Lincoln is an actor who plays a detective in his movies. Uh, Shortly after returning home to to Britain, his uh, alien godmother contacts him, and she wants him to go to Africa to investigate some problems uh, that were happening with some resources she has down in South Africa, and he didn't want to. He grudgingly agrees to do it, but he goes as if he's down there to be at an opening for one of his movies, and like there's a press agent that keeps getting reporters trying to get the interview him and stuff, and but while he's down there, there's some mishaps, and he realizes somebody's trying to kill him, so he's solving a couple problems there, and he works on finding out who's interfering with the horses and also who's trying to kill him. And this one, I liked it. Okay, and then the next one after that for the 80s book is The Monkey's Raincoat by Robert Craze. This was the first book in the Elvis Cole Joe Pike series, where in it Elvis Lang hires Elvis Cole to find her son Parrot that was taken by her husband, who was having an affair. See, her husband was had his own business. He was uh, a talent agent for actors, and so Elvis Cole was checking stuff out. Yeah, see, Ellen Lang's husband was having an affair and stuff. And, well, anyway, uh, anyway, Elvis says that starts investigating. So he's going to like finds that goes to the woman's apartment that was uh, that her that Ellen's husband was having the affair with, and he could tell somebody had been there before he got there, and gone through her stuff, and he he also going to some of these people, some of the stuff at the that people that had done business with their husband with his company and stuff, and so take he's being taken to into the shadier sides of Hollywood, and also a couple thugs comes in, takes him from his office, and takes him to in the middle of nowhere, pretty much, where their boss, real rich guy, he told threatened Elvis that because Ellen Lang's husband had stolen some cocaine from him, some pretty much pure cocaine, and he was trying to get it back, and he told Ellis that he has to bring it back to him, and stuff, and but Ellis comes across some deaths and stuff in this, and also trying to save his life and all that. So his partner Joe Pike comes in and helps him out, of course, and also Ellen uh, was afraid, so she came in and stayed with them, with Elvis and stuff, and this is but this was a good book. I'll be wanting to continue with this series. I've read this book before, and I have several other books in the series. And the fifth one is The First Circle by Tony Hellerman. This is from the Acorn and Cheese series on here. I'll read from the back of the book it says about this, because it summarizes it pretty good. It says, when acting Lieutenant Jim Hutchie catches a Hopi poacher huddled over a butchered Navajo tribal police officer, he has an open and shut case until his former boss, Joe Leaporn, blows it wide open. Now retired from the Navajo tribal police, Leaporn has been hired to find a hot-headed female biologist hunting for the key to a virulent plague lurking in the southwest. The scientist disappeared from the same area the same day that the Navajo cop was murdered. Is she a suspect or another victim? And what about a report that a skinwalker, a Navajo witch, was seen at the same time and place too? For Leaporn and Cheat, the answer lies buried in a complicated knot of superstition and science, in a place where the world of native peoples and outside forces that converge and collide. And yeah, and this was a good book. It takes place in Arizona, and on a reservation in Arizona and stuff, and so see most of his books, most of Tony Hellerman's books are in the Leaphorn and Cheese series, and I've read the other one from the series, and I really liked it too. I'm going to be starting to read his books around early, starting with the first one, which I downloaded from Hoopla onto my phone, so I'll be listening to that some this month, trying to finish that one. So that's see those 5 books there were the books that I read for March Mystery Madness. Now for my TBR for a while, like I said, I'll be doing that audio book for the first book of the Leaphorn and Cheese series. Also, I had been reading this at the Sum of All Fears by Tom Clancy before March, and I put it to the side during March. And this is uh, this is from the second book published in the Jack Ryan series, but it takes place chronologically before the Hunt for Red October, and it tells more about some stuff where for stuff that is referred to in the Hunt for Red October. And this is a reread for me. I'm down to like 150 pages left, or 140, 150 pages, so I should be finishing it within the next couple of days. And then there's one other one that I had put aside to back then, which is this book. This is a nonfiction one. This is Into the Teeth of the Tiger. It's about air combat during World War II, but this one is in the China area. Yes, we did have planes flying over there helping protect them, China, and so this is a nonfiction on that, and it's pretty interesting. And then there's then from after them, I'm going to be reading the last 3 books I had picked for March Mystery Madness. First one is CSI one called Body of Evidence, written by Max Allen Collins. This is based on the TV show CSI Crime Scene Investigation that was on CBS. I've read some other books in the series but I haven't read this one yet. Then after that is an author I've never read anything by. Well, see, I should say this is a book that I had picked for the 2000, between 2000 and 2009, that decade. Then this is a book I had picked for the 2010s, and this is the Russian by Ben Coles. I've never read anything by him, and what this says is the Russian mafia has virtually taken over the criminal underworld in the U.S. and law enforcement at every level. It has been unable to stem the tide when a powerful Russian mob family declares war by exacting two high-profile American politicians. The message is unmistakable. Opposition will be met with deadly force. With no other viable options, the president creates a clandestine assassination team to fight back, to take the fight back to the criminals. The CIA recruits two Tier 1 operators, former Navy SEALs Billy Cosgrove and Rob Tacoma. But before the team can even begin its mission, Cosgrove is targeted in a fatal attack. Now it's up to Tacoma to do the impossible. Find and kill the hidden mob boss behind Cosgrove's death and take a ruthless enemy with endless resources, zero boundaries, and no mercy. And then the last one I have is that for the 2020s is that this one, it's the John Grisham book. It's the Judge's List, and but this as hard as in The Whistler, Lucy Stoltz investigated a corrupt judge who was taking millions in bribes from a crime syndicate. She put the criminals away, but only after being attacked and nearly killed. 3 years later, and approaching 40, she is tired of her work and ready for a change. Then she meets mysterious, terrified Jerry Crosby, whose father was murdered 20 years earlier. The case has long since grown cold, but Jenny has a suspect, and she's discovered other victims. The man Jerry holds responsible for all these deaths is brilliant, patient, and always one step ahead of law enforcement. He is the most cunning of all serial killers. He knows forensics, police procedure, and most important, he knows the law. He is a judge in Florida under Lucy's jurisdiction, but the man keeps a record of all his victims and targets, people unlucky enough to have crossed his path and wronged him in some way. Lucy must work to take him down while somehow keeping her name off the list. So I thought all those sound interesting. So that's my March Mystery Madness wrap up. I might TBR for a while. Because I don't restrict myself to finish books in a month. I just keep going in them, and so with that said, I'll be back tomorrow. Well, that's all I have for my reading wrap up and TBR. Tomorrow I'll be back and do and I'll for my spin of the day, and I'll probably be back either Sunday or Monday, probably Monday for my weekly reading update. So until then, take it easy and keep on reading.